Page 39, Beautiful Brown Eyes. On page 38, they're introducing you to the E for the left hand for the bass clef. You see it in the music. Middle C is one little line. They're called ledger lines. These little lines above and below the staff, they're ledger lines. So it's middle C is one ledger line, and two ledger lines then would be an E. That's the note they're after. Each of the ledger lines work the same as the other lines. It's every other note. In bass clef, the bottom line is a G. If you go every other note, you got all the lines. You can just keep going up, adding ledger lines. And the spaces are the other notes. So the second ledger line is an E. And yes, you need to memorize it. In my opinion, you should be memorizing the notes up to 3 ledger lines above and below each clef. And the idea at the bottom, you see the chords? You have a G chord, and then whenever you go up to the E and you play a C, that's a C chord. Remember the C chord we had before is here? Well, that's a C chord too. It's the same chord. It's just a different arrangement. So if I take this chord, this is a C chord, and I take that G and I put it on the bottom, that's what we have. We call them inversions. We'll get to that a little later, but the point is it's the same chord. It's a C chord. G chord, C chord. Now, if this is starting to confuse you, you may want to go back and review the other chords in the book, because it's important that you understand this. In Beautiful Brown Eyes, we have these chords, plus the D7 chord. These 3 chords are really, really, really important, so know them. And why they are important, we'll explain it. I'll explain it when the book explains it. I really want to explain it now, but I'm going to wait till the book gets there. So just know they are. If you have a teacher, they probably already explained it. Beautiful Brown Eyes. Let's look at this. 3/4 time. That looks like the melody is in the right hand, so you can play the melody, the right hand louder than the left. That's fine. At the beginning, here, starting, you're in G position, right? At the last 2 measures of the first line, that C is tied. You're going to hold it down for 5 counts. So it's 1, 2, 3, tie, 2, 3. Now, I don't see anything really hard about this. You're right here in G position. You're just playing these notes. Fortunately, they're not giving you finger numbers anymore. Now you got to start reading the notes, I hope. So also know the names of the notes. If you still haven't learned that, it's past time to know them for these notes. You need to know these. We got more notes to learn, so don't fall behind on that. The left hand is just accompanying stuff. It's in the background, keep it soft, and it's playing chords. Sometimes they're block chords, like at the beginning. Remember, a block chord is when they all go down at the same time. And those are tied. All 3 of those notes are tied. So you can hold it down for 6 counts, or forever, whichever comes first. And then the last 2 measures of the first line, that's that C chord, but it's a broken chord now. It's alright, it's still a C chord. Second line, last 2 measures of the second line, now you have that D7 chord here as a broken chord. And I'm rotating it because I use weight to push the notes down. I'm here and then here, like so. And I'm collapsing the wrist and relaxing. Stay relaxed, don't tense up. That's really about all the left hand is doing. So you put them together. The right hand's got the melody. We want to hear that B here. Don't play them the same. That covers up the B. We want to. So keep the right hand a little louder than the left. And how fast you go, it says moderately fast again. Well, it's sort of fast, kind of fast, calm now. How fast is fast? Depends on how you feel. What do you think fast is? For me, it depends on how much wine I've had, or beer, or whatever. Because, when the party's going, fast gets faster. It gets funner. You decide on the moderately fast, and you do the dynamics. It's all medium loud, but that's for the melody. We're going to keep it slow. Now, once you get it learned, you got it ready to go, everything's fine, you can play the notes, and the The phrasing, in this case, each line is a phrase, so you're just going to lift up between each line so you get a little silence. You got all that worked out. Now you can add the pedal. And here we're only pedaling like the last two measures of each line. So like in the first line, I'm going to push the pedal down right after I play these notes, the first notes in the third measure here. I'm going to leave the pedal down for the rest of the line. And then when the hands come up at the end of the line, so does the pedal, all together. And then the pedal isn't played now for a couple more measures, but all the lines work the same way. So, and that's how we're going to do it. Then at the bottom, the last line, again, going to push the pedal down right after I play the notes in the third measure. And at the end of 3 counts, I'm going to lift the hands and the pedal at the same time, and that's it. I tend to exaggerate my pedal movements for the video. Normally your foot's on the pedal and it's just a little motion going down and up. I tend to do a little more just so you understand that it's for show. Yeah, okay. Now part of learning to use the pedal is also learning when to use the pedal. Now in this book and many method books, they tell you when they want you to use the pedal. If you have a teacher, they will tell you when you should use the pedal. I went through years and years and years, and nobody bothered to try and teach me why I should use it in this spot but not this spot. I sort of, over the time, kind of figured it out on my own. And if I figured out wrong, I got it wrong. And a few times I did, where then my college professors would say, no, that's not right. You don't want to pedal it that way. And then they would explain what's going on. I'd like to kind of teach you a little bit about why you should pedal here but not here, maybe. And in Beautiful Brown Eyes, since we're not pedaling the whole thing, the question is, why not? Why not just pedal it all? I could pedal each 2 measures. What's wrong with that? Well, the idea is we like to have it reasonably clean. Now it kind of depends on the atmosphere of the piece. Some pieces we want that ethereal feeling. We want that mystical, foggy thing where you will smear things intentionally. But in something like the Beautiful Brown Eyes, kind of, that's not something you want to smear. Don't smear the eyes. So these first couple of measures, we want that to be clean. Now in piano, repeated note, you can't connect a repeated note because when you lift a key, you get silence. Even just a speck, there's no way to avoid that. You have to use pedal to connect them. So if you wanted to pedal the first measure to connect the E's and not pedal the second measure because we don't want to blur up this. We don't want to smear that. So it's got to be clean. That means pedaling the first measure but not the second. That would work, except again the pedal changes the overtones. It changes the sound. So right now we want it clean and simple, so don't pedal the first 2 measures, just leave them. We don't even have to pedal the last 2. You play the whole piece without pedal, but it gives you some exercise in using the pedal. So right now it's just for the last 2 measures in this piece. So let's try this out slowly together. I'll give us 3 counts and we'll play it. It is not repeated, so we only have to live through this once. So your hands are in G position and the foot's on the pedal. We're ready to go. 1, ready, go. 2,